It's Sunday, September 24th, 2023. I have a few articles I want to share with everybody today. Please forgive me if you hear any snoring in the background. Nugget is on the couch. She is passed out. See, she has nothing to worry about. She has a great life. She doesn't have to worry. She eats very, very good. I keep her very safe. She's very protected. She's very insulated from a lot of things in life. So she sleeps very good at night, during the day. She has no worries. On the other hand, you and I have a lot to worry about. Our families have a lot to worry about, because if you're paying attention, if you're watching what's happening across the globe right now, what's happening with the U.S. economy, what's happening socially, you should be very, very concerned right now, and you should be taking some sort of action. Now, I want to start with this first article I was reading this morning on the Hedge. It's titled, "A Time Capsule from the 1930s. What's different now?" Now, I'm not going to go through this whole article, but the end of this article, it says, if we compare the health and endurance, well-being, security, general attitudes, family and community ties, and values, we would conclude that it is we who are impoverished. The people today, we are impoverished compared to the people back in the 1930s. Maybe we have nicer cars, bigger houses, more luxuries and conveniences at our fingertips, but we are impoverished compared to the generation from the 1930s. It says here, food was local and fresh. Little, if any, was wasted. People worked jobs that were much more physically demanding. They burned a lot of calories. They were in much better shape. So if you get a chance, check out this article. That's just a small little portion of the article, but it ties into something I experienced last night. And I'm going to give you my observation from last night when I went to dinner. Now, I went to an Italian restaurant chain, nothing fancy. I had a taste for some salad and some breadsticks and maybe a little spaghetti and meatballs. And I'm not going to name the restaurant. The service was very, very good. I cannot complain. Food was okay, but I just had a taste for some salad and breadsticks. The spaghetti and meatballs, but you know what you're getting. But again, service was good. Food was okay. And, you know, this is a place that I already knew what I was getting before I got there. And so not super expensive. I wasn't expecting much. But I was a little taken back sitting in the dining room last night. And just a few observations, a few notes here. And this is not to judge anybody. I'm not shaming anybody. I'm just giving you an observation. That's it. And it kind of ties into this article. Back in the 1930s, the difference from people in the 1930s to people today. First off, if you watch some of those old videos of people back in the 1930s and 40s and 50s, look how they're dressed. People didn't have much money, yet they wore hats, they wore suits, the women wore dresses. People took a real pride in their appearance. Physically, most of this country was in very, very good shape. Last night, there were people, and I'm not exaggerating here, ladies and gentlemen, there were people wearing their pajamas there last night, okay? Wearing literally pajamas in the restaurant. I was sitting about 10 feet from a table where a gentleman was constantly coughing, talking to this woman and then coughing, talking and coughing. And then I hear a dog barking, a small dog barking in another dining room somewhere else in the restaurant. Now, I know that there are service animals, but it seems now everybody has a service animal. Everybody has a service animal, whether they really need one or not. But this was it sounded like a very small dog now barking. So I got somebody over here coughing every 10 seconds. I got dogs barking, got people wearing pajamas. I got babies crying. I couldn't believe it. And then you look at the physical condition of the people. I would say, first off, this obesity, the CDC released the obesity data across the country, state by state, and they said that California obesity was at 28.1%. I will say this, there's no way obesity in California is only 28.1%. Looking at that restaurant last night, I would say that the obesity number was probably a good 70%. Just looking around, when I go out in the state of California, there's no way it's only 28%. But last night it was a good 70%. And I look at people, they can barely walk. They're eating so much food, then they leave half the food. People didn't do that back in the day, back in the 30s. People took what they were going to eat, they finished it. They didn't leave the table without finishing it. It's literally, in my opinion today, a sin to be leaving food on your plate and just walking away. You can take it home, you can eat it later that night, you can eat it for lunch the next day or dinner, but to just leave it there and walk away, what a sin. We have millions upon millions of people that are food insecure in this country, billions of people food insecure across the world, and yet we sit here and take a couple bites and just leave it and throw it away. What a sin. But I was taken back again, just the condition of people, the obesity, people looking ill, people just cannot even walk, barely functioning, and then wasting food. It's just such a disaster on our hands right now, ladies and gentlemen. And it just, again, this isn't to be judgmental. I'm not shaming anybody. I'm not judging anybody. I want people to understand this. I want everybody watching this. I want you. I want myself. I want people in my circle getting in the best shape they can possibly get in. That doesn't mean that you have to run a 28-mile marathon. That doesn't mean that you have to be able to swim 100 laps in the pool. It doesn't mean you have to be a world-class athlete. But we all have got to be demanding more from ourselves right now physically. People always want solutions. They say I don't give solutions. Today, here is a solution. Put the fork down, get off the couch, start cleaning up your diet, start moving, start exercising, start getting stronger, get faster, and start taking more pride in yourself. Have some self-discipline, have some self-respect. There are people watching this right now who are overweight and severely obese. I understand that. And I'm speaking to all of you. Get in shape now. Do something about it. Stop making excuses. You know, I have a bad knee, I have a bad back, my finger hurts, I have a headache, you know, I have a sore neck. Ladies and gentlemen, I try to get in at least 2 days a week in jiu-jitsu. Maybe sometimes I can push 3. 2 to 3 days at the gym. And that's not me tooting my horn or trying to act better than anybody. Let me tell you, I have pains, okay? I wake up, you know, I'll have a sore neck, I'll have sore muscles. I don't want to go to the gym. I don't want to train in jiu-jitsu and get beat up, but I have to do it. I have to do it. And you're going to feel so much better after you did it because you did something with your body that your mind told you not to do. Your brain's telling you don't do it, don't do it. Your body's telling you don't do it. I'm sore today, I'm sore today. You have got to fight that and you've got to do it. You got to go against what your brain's telling you. You got to go against what your body's telling you, and you've got to force yourself to do it. This is discipline, and we need to be implementing discipline in our life right now because you're going to need that as times get worse. And you should be implementing this with your kids also. Most kids have absolutely no discipline whatsoever. And whose fault is that? It's your fault because you're not setting an example. You're not implementing this in their lives. You know, if your kid's 8 years old, 10 years old, 12 years old, what do they know? You need to be mandating this in your households. You need to be laying down some structure for your kids, for your family, and discipline. Because without discipline and structure, you will be lost, your kids will be lost. If you have structure and discipline heading into life, the odds are in your favor. If you're heading into life without discipline, without structure, you're going to be lost. And when people have no discipline with their eating, they cannot stop eating. They can't force themselves to go work out. They can't force themselves to push themselves. They can't force themselves to get in better shape. Then these are the people that are going to die very, very early from multiple causes of death. Diabetes, kidney disorders, cancers, heart attacks, you name it. And so again, I'm not here to shame anybody. I'm not here to put anybody down. I want you to change. I want you to get in better shape. I'm doing it. If I can do it, you can do it. Anybody can do it, okay? So I want people, especially if you're overweight and obese, to really listen to this today and do something about it. Really, really do something about it. And you can start today. You can change today. I know people who've lost 40, 50, 60 pounds in a year, and it's changed their life. It's changed their appearance. It's changed the way that they look at themselves. It's just changed the way they work, their personal life, their marriages, everything, everything. And there is going to be no magic pill that is going to fix this, ladies and gentlemen. It's old-fashioned, old school. Get off the couch, get moving, get a sweat, start getting blood into those muscles, and it's going to be painful. And even when you're doing it for a while, I can tell you, I have pains all the time. I mean, I'm not 20 or 30 years old anymore. I understand that. But I'd rather have a little bit of pain than be 80 pounds overweight, because think about how painful that is on your hips, your knees, your joints, your heart, your kidneys. And how many years are you going to take off your life when you're obese? So do something about it today. I know you can do it. And I know that there are a lot of people out there that continue to make mistakes, or not mistakes, but excuses, which is a mistake. That's a huge mistake, to just continue making excuses. And if you keep making excuses, the problem is only going to get bigger, and you're only going to take more years off your life. And you can change this. You can do it right now. So I want to start this first half of the video off by talking about this, because it's a big problem. And we have fallen so far as a nation. When I look at those people from the 1930s and 40s and 50s, and even back in the 80s, the condition and shape of people to where we are right now. Don't be weak. Now is a time to be strong. We are heading into very, very tough times. You do not want to be 80 pounds overweight as we head into a depression. One of the most important assets you have, ladies and gentlemen, is your body. You only get one. Your body is the temple. Respect it, take care of it, and start doing it today. Now, shifting gears here, Wall Street Journal, U.S. economy could withstand one shock, but 4 at once? Question mark. So we have a broader auto worker strike taking place, government shutdown possibly taking place. We're going to be resuming these student loan payments, rising oil prices. That's 4, but you could go on. This is the 4 that the Wall Street Journal mentions. Can we survive this? I don't know, because it's not just that. You look at credit card debt at all-time highs, average credit card interest rate 22%, inflation climbing. You have a savings rate now, one of the lowest savings rate in the history of the U.S., 3.5%. Record household debt, record national debt. We're now over $33 trillion of national debt. And now the interest payments on the debt are $1 trillion. Our deficit now has doubled to $2 trillion. So we've got more than just these 4 problems, and we could go on with pages of problems. I think, ladies and gentlemen, we got really, really big trouble here. And I don't think that the U.S. economy can withstand 4 of these, let alone 8, 12, or 20 issues, on top of possible World War III, everything that is happening throughout this country right now. I can't really talk, and I will not really talk about the politics, but you're watching the news. You're seeing what some of the big news stories are right now. Obviously, we have a lot of people coming to this country from all over the world. And again, I'm not going to get political, but I have to ask just some realistic questions here, is that we know that we're beginning to see and hear more about food crisis. We're seeing more and more people being laid off of work. Where in the world are all these people going to work? That is my first question. Where are they going to work? Where will these people be housed? What kind of stress is this going to put on the system when we talk about unemployment benefits? Social Security, the medical industry, health in this country. When people go to the emergency room, you know, how are we going to pay for all this? Where's all the food going to come from? So again, not political, but these are just realistic questions. When you have millions upon millions of people coming here, they have to eat. They're going to need medical services at some point. They're going to need jobs. They're going to need places to live. This is going to put a huge drain on the system, in my opinion. So I don't know. It just does not look good. And on top of it, the country right here is already bankrupt. $33 trillion in debt and climbing, $192 trillion in unfunded liabilities and climbing. I don't get it. I really don't. While we're writing checks and sending them all over the world, I don't get it. Now, here's another one today. American Dream Mega Mall sees losses quadruple to $245 million. This mall in New Jersey, they're saying that they're having trouble attracting foot traffic. Operating cost in 2022 was $428 million. This was a $3 billion project, $1.1 billion in municipal debt, $1.7 billion came from JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and I believe the Soros Foundation. And this thing could be in very big trouble. In fact, it is in big trouble. Separate from operating costs, the mall also incurred $350.3 million in non-operational expenditures such as debt interest, and restructuring fees. Back in February of 2022, the Mega Mall had just $820 in its reserve account after making a massive $9.3 million interest payment. You know, we're in big trouble. I mean, it's as simple as that. We are in big trouble. You know, you look at a Mega Mall like this thing. It's enormous, and $820 in the reserves. Think about how many beautiful homes you drive by, and think about how many of those people have absolutely no money. They're on borrowed time, just like this Mega Mall. People driving the beautiful Lexus or the nice Mercedes or BMW have a $1,200 a month car payment. Think about how many of those people have absolutely no money. 63% of this country, I think the number is much higher than that, living paycheck to paycheck. Somebody yesterday said it was 78% living paycheck to paycheck. Whatever the number is, it's really high. And this is unsustainable. It really is. It's just absolutely shocking what is taking place. And then right here, this is another article. Watching the real estate bust from the streets of San Francisco. Half the retailers at Union Square, half the retailers are gone. They're closed. 650 California Street. They just bounced on a $1.7 billion loan. Embarcadero Square is for sale. $90 million. It was bought in 2018 for $245 million. You can buy it now for $90. San Francisco Center, the city's largest mall, stopped making payments. Nordstrom's, their flagship store, is right there at the center. It's a 5-story flagship store. They're gone. As most of you know, San Francisco was one of the most beautiful cities on planet Earth. And it now is a cesspool. And people say, well, it's different where I live. That could never happen here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let me be very clear with you. If it can happen in San Francisco, it can happen anywhere. Now, right down the street, downtown Palm Springs, a internationally known city, it's been known for decades. Probably nearly for 100 years. You should see the transition that has taken place in the city of Palm Springs. The amount of homeless people in Palm Springs is staggering. Now you have little taco stands, little tents popping up, little food vendors on sidewalks in the city of Palm Springs. Crime is through the roof in Palm Springs, homelessness through the roof. Now people just cook food on sidewalks. People are sleeping in their cars in certain areas of Palm Springs. And so if it can happen right here in Palm Springs, it can happen where you live too. I'm amazed by people who just believe it can't happen where they live. If it can happen in San Francisco, if it can happen in Palm Springs, I promise you it can happen where you live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. You got to get out of that mentality that you're protected, you're immune from any of this happening to you because you live in Mayberry or wherever you might be living in some little small town in Indiana or Wisconsin or Illinois or South Dakota or Montana. This is happening across the country. Yes, certain areas will and are being impacted more than others, of course, but it is happening in places we thought it would never, ever happen. In some of the most prestigious, beautiful cities. San Diego, downtown San Diego. I did a video about a year and a half ago. I was blown away with the amount of homelessness in the beautiful city of San Diego. And homeless people just walking around, talking to themselves in downtown San Diego, yelling at themselves, yelling at people. And now San Diego has another issue where they have food vendors just popping up, I believe, on Thursday nights in downtown San Diego. No permits, no licenses, nothing. And they're just cooking food and selling it. So I don't know about you, when it's 100 degrees outside, I'd kind of like to know that, that this restaurant has an A rating, that it has refrigeration, that, there's people wearing gloves that are preparing the food. That's just me. But it just seems like this is just allowed to happen now. People can just do whatever they want to do, cook food, sell it wherever they want, cook in a tent, sleep wherever they want, do whatever they want. It's changing, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to finish with this last article. Many of you have been, I'm sure, watching the news in the past week. You saw President Zelensky meet with our president. Now, it's interesting. I think, what was he wearing? Calvin Klein, Hugo Boss, the OD green outfit. Interesting, very interesting to show up to the White House, not wear a suit. But I don't know, was it Hugo Boss? Was it Calvin Klein, OD? I don't know what the heck that outfit was, but on a more serious note, this has been circulating throughout the news the last couple of days. President Zelensky asked spirit cooker Marina Abramovich to be ambassador for Ukraine. Now, many people probably said, oh, that sounds nice. Who cares? First off, let me be very, very clear here. This is not political in any way. I want the war to end. I don't want to see people on either side hurt or killed. I want things resolved immediately. I hope and pray that both sides come to peace and come to an agreement and this just ends. Okay, so there's nothing political here. War is terrible and people get hurt, innocent people on both sides. And it just is a horrible, horrible, horrible situation. So I hope and pray that it ends and that it just stops and no more people lose their lives. But on a spiritual note, this woman, Marina Abramovich, I've been watching her for years. She's a witch. She's a very, very serious witch. And it has to make you ask the question, why in the world are they asking a witch to be the ambassador of their country? Do your research on her. She's a very, very serious witch. She has serious ties with some of the biggest musicians, biggest actors, and some of the biggest power players in Hollywood. Also, she is tied in with some of the biggest politicians on planet Earth. Take 5 minutes and just do a little research on Marina Abramovich. And you will probably be very, very concerned why a country would want her as an ambassador. This to me is extremely disturbing. And again, this isn't political, this is spiritual. And as I've said many times, and many of you have said the same thing, we are now in spiritual warfare. We're dealing with some very, very evil, dark forces. I pray for the people of Ukraine. I pray for the people in Russia. I hope peace comes, and I hope that both countries end this war and that peace wins out here and that people stop dying. But this woman is a witch. She is a Satanist. She is evil. And we are witnessing spiritual warfare taking place right here across the globe, right here in America. And you need to know your enemies, ladies and gentlemen. This lady is bad news. Take 5 minutes, do some due diligence, do some homework, and I think you're going to be disturbed with the things you watch that this woman is doing, what she is teaching, what she's trying to influence upon you and your family. We need to stand up to evil. We need to be touching into the most powerful energy, the most powerful force in the entire globe, and that is God up above. There is nothing more powerful. There is no asset more important than God up above. Stay away from the witchcraft. Stay away from the witches. There's people watching right now who are probably practicing witchcraft. Get right with God, ladies and gentlemen. If you're a witch, you're going to lose. Get right with God. You will be defeated. The power of the light is so powerful, you have no chance. Get right with God and come to the light. Come to the right side. You can still change. We're all going to meet our Maker one day. And people who practice this, like Marina, she's going to meet her Maker one day, and she's not going to be happy where she's going. And we really have to think, all of us, how short life really is and where we're all going after this. But we're going to deal with a spiritual war right here. We are going to be tested right here. And you need to be implementing discipline and structure in your life right now. You need to be getting right with God right now. Now, I'm not going to carry on. I'm not a pastor. I'm not trying to do that. But when you see darkness like this shoved in your face, you better take action. You better be aware of what's going on. You better know what side you're on. God bless. Have a good day.